wrapped up in my sleeping bag, looking out the window at Aaron's house as the sun is beginning to creep over the horizon. And the trees are silhouetted black against the emerging blue sky with the fading stars up in the sky. And I think to myself how much I hate Aaron because he's got it fucking made with this fantastic house of his, this nice little piece of property tucked away out in the backwoods of South Dakota. God, I fucking hate him. I hope he dies. I hope he dies of syphilis. You piece of shit.
I was at the gym today. See the muscle? Look at that. You see the muscles? Look at that. It's not exactly the Guns of Navarone, but it's close. I was at the gym, sir. That way I get the girls. And man, there's a lot of stupid people in the world. There was already a certain, like the amount of stupid people in the world did not increase in the past 24 hours. They just did some stupid things. And this is one of several. And I just, you know how I love Minnesota. I love Minnesotans. You're like the special needs dogs that does stupid things and stupid tricks and you're now entertaining. Unfortunately, it's quite horrific because you end up shooting yourselves in the foot because you're a self-loathing community. And I just love watching Minnesotans do Minnesotan things, especially the Twin Cities people. You guys are the best. Let's literally burn our buildings down and figure out why no one wants. What's happening to our city? So this is a classic case of fuck around and find out, and they're on the find out section. From Bring Me the News, all 4 Cafe Series locations will close in April. Employees of the cafes owned by Daniel Del Prado's restaurant group were informed on Thursday. All four Cafe Series locations in Minneapolis will close April 13th. On Friday, March 28th, signs were posted inside Cafe Series' locations a day after Southwest Voices, that's the local nonprofit rag, the community rag, revealed an email had been sent to staff confirming the impending closures of the DDP restaurant group, which is owned by Twin Cities restaurateur Daniel Del Prado. After careful consideration, we have made the difficult decision to close Cafe's Series. The sign reads, "We are deeply grateful for the support you've shown us over the years. It's been an honor to serve you and be part of your daily routine, celebrations, and special moments." The company shared a statement through the law firm Fisher Phillips with similar language. See, they went through the law firm. This, I'll tell you what my suspicion is on this is instead of laughing at naive entry-level type of labor, thinking that they're entitled to free shit and lifelong, like, and living wage as a barista, which I'm somewhat sympathetic with people who work, young people. Aside from dancing on their stupidity, there's a lot of intelligence that went into this closing. This was a very shrewd, the Daniel Del Prado guy, if that's a person, I don't know if that's a company or a person. But there's 4 cafe locations. There's significant investment. And the second this group unionized, boom, they're done. Which indicates to me that they got good financial metrics. They know whether or not they can make a profit based on labor costs and among input costs. But it reminded me of probably one of the best and most successful restaurateurs I personally knew in the Twin Cities. I won't mention who. But this guy ran a bunch of higher end restaurants and bars. And what I thought was his flagship bar, he just 1 year didn't renew the lease and that was it. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I thought this was the main deal. And comes to find out, no, he had a certain amount of profit he had to make to cover his cost of capital. There was a sound financial analysis that went into it. And I guess he had the flexibility with the lease to, like, he didn't own the building. He just, nope, we're done, walking away from it. I mean, he honored his commitments. But there was a cutoff. There were, nope, we need to make this amount of money, pay off our investors. Otherwise, it's not worth our time and we're losing money. Man, I wish every entrepreneur I ran into in banking was like that. And I realized, well, he had a lease. He didn't own the building. I am wondering that in order to do business in an increasingly hostile leftist, Marxist, Democrat communities and economies, municipal or state, that businesses, the smart ones anyway, are managing, especially their leases. They're not dumb enough to buy the property. Like, hell no, I'm not buying in Minneapolis. Hell no, I'm not buying in St. Paul. But they're smart enough to say, all right, there's enough coffee drinkers in that area, and commercial leases are affordable enough that I can lease out that building and that building. But if I got a flexible lease, or I don't do a 5-year lease, I do a year to year, any shit happens, any crap happens, we pull the plug and we're out. And I'm wondering if some of the more apt, intelligent, creative, and shrewd businessmen and women are doing it. Even before that, now I think about it, there was a very popular bar restaurant in St. Paul. Now, this is rumor. I don't know if it's true, but the actions collate or corroborate or correlate with what I was told. This restaurant was very popular, very successful. And then a sexual harassment complaint was made against the company. I think they had an operating firm that ran the company, ran the bar restaurant, and then there was the holding company that actually held the assets and the property. And all they did was shut down the operating company, said, tough shit, everyone's fired, get the fuck out. And they started back up a new operating company under a different legal entity and released the building from the holding company. And they started up with a new restaurant, and it was kind of like the old restaurant, but with a little bit of different pizzazz. And it's just as successful. That was a long time ago. And there's always been moves like that you could make to protect yourself legally. But I'm thinking coffee store, restaurants, things like that. Well, big major metro, a bunch of soy boy people under 50 who don't know how to cook. And I'm going to drink my espresso and be artists. And oh my God, I'm going to take my college money and my daddy's money and the government's money. I'm going to go buy and sit at the cafe. And oh my God, I'm going to pen my thoughts about how I'm entitled to other people's money. A lot of journalism or journals, not journos, journals will be left over in the Twin Cities of pontificating assholes who think why I'm entitled to other people's money and I'm a great person, though I've never done anything with my life. There's just be truckloads of those journals. Yeah, I think we can, as long as you don't own the property, as long as we're leasing it, as long as the leasing terms are fair and flexible, we can make money up to the day. And then if whatever, the city council passes some minimum wage law, the people unionize, they decide to put very common, has nothing to do with labor. The city decides to do road construction in front of that's very common. We have small businesses and they go out of business because the city can't get the road in front of their buildings built quickly enough and it's under construction for 2 years and people just stop going. I'm curious, and if there's anyone out there who is either an accountant or does this, I'd appreciate an anonymous comment like, oh yeah, this is what we do. That's just what my banker spidey senses smell, where I'm like, man, you could just pull the plug like that, huh? That required pre-planning and thought. The company shared a statement through a law firm. Our most immediate priority is to ensure that our impacted cafe team members are treated with the dignity and respect they deserve during this process. Look at that. They're covering their ass so they don't get any wrongful termination. Look at that. There's some brains behind this operation, man. We are working with Unite here, Local 17, the union representing the baristas, as we work through the effects of this difficult business decisions. There it is, Cafe Ceres. Oh, yeah, it looks like they rented a commercial below. Oh, my God. Trisha. Residential above. It looks just like, and they built, looks like any other. And people are sick of that shit. It's the most, you look at it, it's the most unmentionable building ever. This picture they got here. It's the most unmentionable building, and I'm sure they got a commercial lease for a steal. Last August, roughly 30 Cafe Series employers voted to unionize, with Unite Here, 17. They did so simultaneously with employees of Colita, another DDP restaurant group restaurant. Heads of restaurant empires, those bastard entrepreneurs who gave us the jobs in the first place. Heads of restaurant empires like Daniel Del Prado would rather close shop than give a fair share to the workers who make them rich. A representative for, I want to hire a jealous, envious, whiny, complaining socialist piece of shit. Look, guys, if you, I'm going to tell you, socialists again, in the United States, you can own the means of production. You could go raise money. You can create a co-op. You can take your own money and you can start your, they do. That's very common in the Twin Cities. You got a singularly owned coffee shop. Go run it yourself and make the money yourself. Oh, that's right. You're always just too fucking lazy because you never admit that the entrepreneur has to do a shit ton of work. It's a real job. And not to mention, they're putting their own money at risk. Just a bunch of whiny little bitches. And you know what? Before you get democratic, capitalist, whatever, I am sympathetic. You can go read through or watch my videos. I left that outside. I am sympathetic to younger people and poorer people. I was there. You got to work your way up and what's a living wage and all that. But you got to start somewhere, and you come in there, we're going to unionize, having no practical knowledge of the ramifications of what that would happen, what would be coming of that. It's the same thing with if you can't understand why rent controls results in housing shortages and don't work, you're the same person. We're going to unite and we're going to unionize. What do you mean we're out of a job? Like, you're the ones who are shocked by that. You can have 30 jobs that pay whatever, $14 an hour plus tips, or no jobs that pay $25 an hour. It's up to you. And if you don't like it, go buy them out. Take over the lease. Hey, ever since I've been a teenager, all you Democrats, socialists, leftist types, you're just a bunch of whiny adults. And there are some legitimate concerns, yes, about wages, but my God, get off your ass and go do. Cafe Services charges $16 for a bacon, egg, and a cheese sandwich, but refuses to pay its baristas more than minimum wage. Right. I wonder what the material costs and the lease costs are. Have you ever looked at an income statement? No, you're just a liability. The restaurant industry is fundamentally broken, and workers will not stop organizing and demanding more from their employers. Well, good for you. Then look, your only way out of this. I'm going to help you guys right now. Go start your own coffee shop. Do it. That's your only way out. And you can pay yourselves as much as you'd like. But the days of people coming, especially to the Twin Cities, entrepreneurs and investors who take their money or the investors' money, a group of them, and the bank's money, other people's money that was lent to them, the days of that where you come in there and you act like a bunch of insufferable, entitled little victims, no. Those days are coming to a close. If not, they're already closed. Well, for you guys, it's closed. There's not a world where you are paid a living wage to be a barista, right? That's unfortunate, I know, but being a barista or a fast food bartender usually is a stepping stone towards other things. And workers will not stop organizing and demanding more from their employers until they have the basic respect, living wage, and health care they needed. Right. Okay, good. Good luck, sirs, madams. Good luck. The statement continues. When informed of employees' decision to unionize, the company did not voluntarily recognize the union, forcing a vote that was overseen by the National Labor Relations Board. That's fine. You go through all these procedures. Like I suspected before. It's that may be a formality because they may be to the point where like, yeah, we're just closing shop. At the end of the day, it's still their money. All that pisses you guys off. It's their money. They use their labor to get it. At the end of the day, they're the ones that own the lease or sign the lease or that, and they could just shut it down. Parcel off if you want, you could probably buy the cafe machines and the chairs and all that. Go run it's right there. I don't know why that doesn't happen more often. The employees unionize at whatever, a restaurant or a cafe. They know how to run it. And they say, no, we're firing, we're done. And I'm like, okay, well, let us buy you out. I mean, if the union really want to help people, you'd have like a financing arm. Say, okay, yeah, you know what? Did they fire? Okay, well, ask them if they, they might sell you the lease. They might sell you the equipment. But my point is they got the shutdown thing right there. Like, oh, is that what we're going to do? Okay. I can't guarantee you. I would bet it's been what? Oh, at least 40 years of this entitled major metropolitan area attitude of Zoomer, Gen Xer type of people my age and younger. We're going to save the world. We're going to make a difference. It's like, you're going to serve fucking coffee. Shut the fuck up. I think by now, entrepreneurs, the savvy ones, do have like this shut off valve or the shut off switch. I think they now know, like, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it intelligently. So there's minimal risk involved. And okay, we can go through labor negotiations, fine, but okay, fine, shut it down. The union says 88% of eligible staff members cast a ballot in favor of unionization. Okay, that was the fuck around part. The union members had not reached terms on their first contract with DDP Restaurant Group after months of negotiations, which included multiple sessions in March per Unite hire. Fisher Phillips website says it offers union assistance for the hospitality industry. Hospitality jobs can't be exported, making you the prime target for union organizing activities. The firm's site tells prospective clients. So is Fisher Phillips the law firm that represents the union or the company? Several labor unions have targeted your industry and are desperate to recruit new dues-paying members from your ranks. To help avoid these issues, we proactively help you create a workplace environment where employees don't see the need for a union and fend off a union organizing campaign before it gets off the ground. I will say, in the cases, it's not always the case, but the majority of cases, I'm old, the majority of cases I've heard from friends where their shop got unionized or their place of employment got unionized, they regretted having the union because of union dues, general bureaucracy and incompetence. And also they just couldn't work as much, right? Like there's some people like, hey, let's bang this out. Let's make production data. Oh, wait, my 8 hours is up. You can't work on an hour of overtime. That's against the union. It's generally a bad thing. It's moot now. None of you got a job. A union organizing campaign before it gets off the ground. DDP Restaurant Group operated four Cafe Sirius's locations in Minneapolis, with the location near Minnehaha Falls. How quaint. Opening up just last summer on the street level of the Wakpata apartment building. There are also cafes in Linden Hills, Washington Square, and Armitage. Oh, they're the Woozy Woozies type of neighborhood. Oh my God. Linden Hills. That's where nobody works for. That's where Baby Boomer Trust Fund Central is. They're adjacent to Edina. Cafe Sirius is the home of the revered baker Sean McKenzie, who is also the executive pastry chef of Rustica, was a finalist in the Outstanding Pastry Chef or Baker category of the James Beard Awards in 2023. Is this another Boomer Award that means absolutely nothing? Like 3 people decided to nominate their friend? I've never heard of it. That was it. Where was the unionization one? This one is Sarah St. Paul, Minneapolis. Earlier today, news broke all 4 locations will close. Ba-da-ba. Earned the 2023 James Beard nomination. What does that mean? For Mandarin olive oil tarts, pistachio croissants, and tahini chocolate chip cookies. All inflected with Middle Eastern flavors. Proud accomplishment towards restaurant full service restaurants. Okay, here's a little more about the restaurant. The group's future lies in creating and operating amazing and highly successful restaurants by delivering exceptional hospitality, crafting unforgettable dining experiences, and leading a chef-driven food and beverage programs. So ostensibly focus is shifting towards the restaurant group's full-service restaurants, which has always been its bread and butter. And yes, in an interview with Twin Cities Business, Del Prado himself, okay, so that is an individual, confirmed that though he was initially attracted to coffee business due to its low cost of scale, the numbers weren't working at Sirius's and the cafes were losing money. Oh, so the cafes were already losing money to begin with. It may not have even been, this may have just been the straw on the camel's back. So you guys are going to make it lose more money. It's worth noting that in February, Del Prado drew some lines around which restaurants he's actually involved in after wrapping up some consulting agreements and ownership buyouts. The DDP empire has been consolidated to Martina, Colita, Cardamom, Rosalia, Porzana, and Flora, Room, Dexter's, and Minari. Never heard of them. Last summer, staff at Cafe Siri successfully unionized. 88% of the room, higher wages, improved healthcare, and paid time off, a more consistent scheduling. I could go with the more consistent scheduling. Workers have been in bargaining for the first contract since August of 2024. So almost a year of bargaining, and that's all gone. Sure, but the charges, yeah, and then the same thing. Why do I know that Rustica? Is that any Dinah? About locations. Locations. Where is it? Oh my God. Lake Street. That should be burnt down. What the hell's going on? Edina, of course. Of course. Every day I need attention. All right. There it is. Well, I'm sorry, you guys, but I have a solution. You got a solution? I have a solution. Well, you're in the comments. What's your solution? You guys can learn to weld. Okay. I would not learn to code. That's kind of a dying industry. But for those of you who would like a living wage job, and we know you don't want to work with your hands because physical labor just is like against the Democrat Party, unless you're like an 80s Union Democrat. I have a link below to the world's greatest accounting career where you can learn to do taxes and bookkeeping and have yourself a living wage with a pretty good chance of working remotely because the industry is moving online. So for everyone who's been laid off or you're sick and tired of not earning enough money and that whole, how long does that work? I mean, how many years do you do with that? Those rich people got money and I want their money and they should pay me more because I say so. How many years without that working do you inevitably say, hey, this strategy of bitching and whining doesn't work and maybe I ought to get off my ass and go to real skill and trade? When do you waste all your 20s doing that? Your 30s, your 40s? When do you say, wait, I'm starting to get gray hair and I still have student loan debt for my creative writing degree. Maybe what I'm doing isn't working, despite my professors and teachers saying it would, who are equally poor and working as staff next to me to subsidize their part-time academic career. Accounting, try it. The world's greatest accounting career, link below. And then for all of you people on my team, okay, my family, mi familia, meaning the people who actually work for a living, for the love of God, and you investors, for the love of God, don't live or invest in Minnesota and certainly the Twin Cities. Go get Reconnaissance Man and find out where to live and invest your youth instead. Like, that's a great, that'd be a good, there, that's a good topic I can do. Your life is too short to invest, be in, or work in Minnesota. Certainly the Twin Cities. Just get out. And if you're not, never go. All right. If you're an investor, don't know. No. Texas, Florida, Tennessee, where the people are happy and they're probably happier to work. And there ain't no snow. I mean, a little bit of snow, but not as much. Reconnaissance Man, that will Analyze the country on where you may want to live. Vernon T. Waldrip, $2. Better to act for years old or to invest time in the gym. Better to act 4 years old or to invest time in the gym. You could do both. I did do both. And Vernon again for $2. Good phrase. Learn to weld. I approve. Learn weld. Yep. How about you used to be learn to code? Well, why don't you learn to weld now, kids? Learn to be an auto mechanic. Learn to, I don't know. Learn to have a real job. Have you thought about that? All right. That's it. Questions, answers, Asshole Consulting. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.